Hi, this is Teresa, and this is our beautiful kaleidoscope scarf that I'm going to show you how to make today in this beautiful twisted braid fringe. I just love it. It's one of my favorite kind of trims to put on just about anything. It's quite labor intensive, but it's worth it when it's all said and done. By making this beautiful scarf, you will be learning to join continuously, specialty stitches, and a twisted braid fringe. This kaleidoscope scarf is the perfect addition to your bohemian wardrobe. It echoes a past era of the 60s and 70s when the granny squares were popularized just like they are today. I have utilized all resources that I already had on hand. And the result is this beautiful scarf that's wearable art. The kaleidoscope squares got their name from the mystery yarn that I used to create them, that I make from scraps of yarn. But any yarn of your choosing would be appropriate for this project, along with the corresponding hook, a pair of scissors, and a yarn needle. For this scarf, I will be using 12 squares for a 64-inch scarf. Let's begin to make the square. Make a ring using your preferred method, a chain-up ring, or I will be using a double slip ring. Either one is fine. After you have your ring, chain 2 or 3, which counts as your first double crochet. Add 11 more double crochets for a total of 12 stitches. Slip stitch to join into the first stitch to close the ring. Take the yarn tail and pull your ring tight. Your first round is complete. Insert your hook between the posts from the previous round. Pull up a loop and chain 2. That counts as your first double crochet. In that same space between the posts, place one more double crochet and chain 1. That counts as your first double crochet 2 together. Insert your hook into the next 2 posts, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, and then yarn over, insert your hook into the same space again, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. This is a double crochet 2 together and chain 1. And that is your pattern repeat for this row. You should have a total of 24 stitches, 12 double crochet 2 togethers, and 12 chain spaces between. Repeat to the end of the round and slip stitch to join into the first stitch of this row. Before you slip stitch to join, count your stitches to make sure that you have 12 double crochet 2 together and 12 chains for a total of 24 stitches. Let's begin row 2. Insert your hook in the chain space and pull up a loop. Chain 2. This will begin your corner. The chain 2 counts as a double crochet. The next stitch is an extended double crochet. yarn over, insert your hook into the same space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Chain 2. Another extended double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook into the same space, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And complete the corner with a double crochet. Now begins your pattern repeat. In each of the next 2 chain spaces from the previous row, place 3 double crochets. Whenever you get to the corner, you will make the corner with 1 double crochet, 1 extended double crochet, chain 2, 1 extended double crochet, and 1 double crochet. Repeat this pattern until the end of the round and slip stitch to join into the first chain up that counts as your double crochet. When you have completed this round, insert your hook into the top of the chain up stitch that counts as your double crochet. This is how your work looks. Because of the circular pattern in the beginning design, this first squaring up row still looks a little bit curved. But we are going to correct that in this last and final round of this square. Slip stitch in the corner from the previous row and chain 2. This counts as a double crochet. The next stitch is your extended double crochet, a chain 1, an extended double crochet, and a double crochet, and that forms your corner. And now begin your pattern repeat for this round. In the spaces from the previous row, place in the first one 3 double crochets. In the second space, 3 half double crochets. In the third space, 3 double crochets. And then form your corner with 1 double crochet, 1 extended double crochet, a chain 1, 1 extended double crochet, and a double crochet, and that forms your corner. Repeat this pattern until the end of the round and slip stitch to join in the top of the first stitch that counted as a double crochet. Notice how the 3 half double crochet in the center space of this round squares up the block. Once you've completed this round, insert your hook into the first stitch, slip stitch, chain 1, and clip your yarn. Your kaleidoscope square is complete. As previously stated, for the scarf, you will need 12 squares if you are making approximately a 64-inch scarf. If you're also making the matching beanie, you will need 4 additional squares. Now, let's begin making our scarf using the continuous join method. If you choose to join your squares with a yarn threaded in a yarn needle, that join will work too. But I'm choosing to join my motifs with the join as you go continuous round. It is much like the brain teaser puzzle that you may have tried that asks you to draw a continuous line around all of the pieces without lifting a pencil. This type of join is appropriate when the motifs are meant to have a final round of the same color. It's possible to join all of the motifs in this one final and continuous round, and it drastically decreases the number of yarn tails that have to be woven in. We're going to come across here and we're going to put in our stitches, and then we're going to put in our stitches in this side. But we're only going to do half of our corner right here, just half of it. And then we're going to do our chains for the corner, our 3 chains, chain 3, and then we're going to put in our stitch on this one, on this other block, and that's how it's joined. And then we come down this side. So our pattern is to start over here, right here, come down here, and go down, and then we make a turn and go back, and then we come down the other side, and we just repeat that pathway. This is a wonderful project. If you've never done continuous join before, this is a wonderful project to learn it, because you've just got one long run. It's a little bit the concept expands a little bit greater whenever you're putting rows together. But we don't need to be concerned with that on this scarf. We are going to just do one long row. So basically, we are doing only this part right here. That's all we're doing. But we're just extending it down past 4 all the way to 12. That's what we're doing. All right? So if you want to go and get yourself a copy of this, you can get it online. I wasn't sure because of copyright if I could actually do this, and load it into my description where you could download it. I'm not sure about the laws, and I just want to be safe with that and not have any copyright infringement. Start with the slip knot on your hook. I have a tutorial for this, but I'm going to demonstrate it again for you today. So have your working yarn in the palm of your hand, and then put the yarn over your index and your middle finger. With your ring finger, kind of squeeze that closed, and then open your index and your middle finger so you have an opening in there. And then insert the hook there, and with the claw, grab the yarn and come around where your hand then is in line with your body again. And then pull up, hold that loop that you just pulled up, hold it with your thumb and then yarn over and pull up a loop. Tighten the knot with your yarn tail and adjust the gauge around your hook with the working yarn. And that is a slip knot on your hook. So whenever patterns and people say start with a slip knot on your hook, many of us make the slip knot and then put the hook in it. And this is a way to get it all done at one time. All right, and I'm going to start again with a standing double crochet. So to do that, after you have your slip knot on your hook, yarn over and then hold both of those loops. Make sure the tail of your slip knot is down so that, and not, not up here. You need it to be down so you clearly have 2 loops on your hook. And hold it with your thumb, just like that. I am not going to insert in the corner. I'm going to insert in the next space. I don't like the way the corners look whenever on this particular thing. So I use the next one. If you want to use the corner, you may. My choice is the next space. And then get the yarn behind your work and pull behind your crochet fabric and pull up a loop. Now you have 3 loops on the hook, and then I make sure that my yarn tail is in front of my crochet fabric and I hold it with my thumb. Now we have 3 loops on the hook. That kind of looks like a double crochet, right? Well, good, because that's what we're making. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Oh, don't pull through that last 2 loops. You would on any other thing, but we're doing 2 double crochet together. So we're only going to do half the double crochet, then we're going to yarn over and do a second double crochet, and the last yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Okay, and there you have it. We have our first section done. Now, because we are going across 3 stitches, your double crochet 2 together counts as 1 stitch. And so we need 2 more to go across that 3 to move our yarn over to this next space. So we're going to chain 2 and crochet, double crochet 2 together. Chain 2. Double crochet 2 together. Let me go over that in case this is the first time you're joining me for a project. So a double crochet 2 together, you yarn over just like any other double crochet and pull up a loop. Yarn over and then you pull through 2 loops. Then you make another double crochet because it's 2 together. And you complete that one, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then you yarn over and you pull through all 3 loops. And that is a double crochet 2 together. Now chain 2 and continue that stitch pattern, and we're coming up on our corner. Now the only way that our corner is different from the other stitches that we have on the side is that our chain in between, we're going to chain 3. So we have another double crochet 2 together. And chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Turn the work. Double crochet 2 together. Oops. And chain 2. Double crochet 2 together. Chain 2. Double crochet 2 together. Chain 2. Double crochet 2 together. Chain 2. Now we're coming up on our corner. In just a minute, I get all excited because we're about to join another square. chain 2. Now we're coming up to our corner. We will not complete this corner. We will put in one side. We're going to put in a double crochet 2 together. And how many chains do we put in the corner? That's right, you put 3. 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over, and now join your next block. I always turn mine like this, and I like to work in front of me. So I'm going to just grab my next block. By the way, I just have my 12 blocks that I'm going to use for my scarf. I just have my 12 blocks over here in any random order, and I just grab the next one to join. And so you do half of this corner. Double crochet 2 together. Chain 1. Slip stitch, chain 1, and double crochet 2 together. I'm going to do one more of these, and then I want to show you another way, and you get to choose. You have a choice of 2 ways to join. All right, chain 1, and then go in from the top, pull up a loop. Make sure your tension is just right, not too tight. I mean your gauge. This is gauge. Not too tight, not too loose. Slip stitch, chain 1, and then go back to your new square and double crochet 2 together. Now let's see what that looks like. And then I'll show you the other way. All right. This one, because you went in from the top and pulled up a loop, then whenever you chain 1 to go over, it has a little bitty kind of bump here, but it doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't bother me at all, but let me show you the other way. It takes us slightly longer. That's why I'm not doing it. Honestly, I like this second way the best, but to be timely and have good use of your time, I want to show you both of them, but I'm going to do the other one. Okay, I've finished my double crochet 2 together and then chain 1. Then with your non-dominant hand, grab that loop, insert the hook, and pull the loop through from the bottom. Chain 1. So you don't have a slip stitch there. You just have a loop over, and then you make your chain 1. So that is a slight difference. Double crochet 2 together. Don't forget your chain 1. Chain 1, hold that loop, insert the hook from the top, and pull the loop up from the bottom. Chain 1. And then double crochet 2 together. Let me show you what that looks like. Like I said, it takes a little bit longer because you pull up a loop, hold it, and then pull that loop up from the bottom. It lays flatter. It lays a little bit flatter. So it's whichever one that you like. Like I said, I am going to do the first one that I showed you because it's a little faster, and it's because I'm on the video. And also, for newcomers to crochet, if you've gotten this far and you're trying to learn this new concept, I think it's just a little bit more, I don't know, simple to just insert your hook from the top. They're both pretty joins. See, this is the extra step. You have to slip stitch into the loop to catch him and then chain 1. The other way, you don't have that. Double crochet 2 together, and then chain 1, insert your hook from the front, pull up a loop, slip stitch, chain 1, and back in for a double crochet 2 together. I hope I'm staying in frame. Got that a little tight. If you get on these joins, if you get your join too tight, your gauge gets off and it's too tight, then you have a tendency that this will be too tight, and then it's going to, it'll pull in. And so then you have this scalloping motion with each square. So check your tension and gauge every time that you join to the other square, to the first square. Double crochet 2 together, and then what do? That's right, we chain 1 and then insert the hook from the front, pull up a loop, slip stitch, chain 1, and double crochet 2 together in this corner. Chain 1, just like we did on all the other. Oh, I'm not there yet. I thought I was at the corner. I'm not. One more, and then pull up a loop, slip stitch. I'm making sure it's not too tight. Chain 1. Let me double check here. Something's wonky here. What did I do? Oh, it's true. I cannot. I cannot do it. Oh, there it is. I had 2 joins in the same. Okay, well, I'm glad that happened on camera because it could happen to you. All right, I had 2 joined up in the same space. It just took me a long time to find it. All right, insert the hook from the front, pull up a loop, check your gauge, slip stitch, chain 1, and I kept counting and there was the right numbers of what was happening, and you guys probably saw it before I did, but I'm glad it happens, you know, live crochet. I don't edit it out on purpose, because if it happens to me, it may happen to you. Not maybe on this block, it'll happen on another block, or maybe not even on this project, on another project that you're doing the continuous join. So, pull up a loop, slip stitch, chain 1, and now we're into our corner. Just the same as every other corner so far. Double crochet 2 together, and then we chain 1. Now, remember, in our corners, we have a chain 3. So go into the center, the number 2 chain, pull up 2 loops, and insert that hook into 2 loops, and slip stitch. And then chain at least 1, and then you can judge whether or not you want to chain another one, because you need your hook to be here, and you can see it's going to be right here. So I like to put another chain there, and in the finished product it's not going to make any difference. In the next row I'm still going to put the same number of stitches that I was before I decided I needed an extra chain there. Okay, so you do what you need to do for your yarn in order to get it. If you put it in without that extra chain, then you risk having a little divot here. And then, unless you make a modification then in the next row and put a taller stitch, you're going to have that divot where the sides of your scarf are going to scallop the whole time. And so we're going to avoid that by putting in an extra chain there. Chain 2, double crochet, 2 together, chain 2. Continue with our same pattern stitch. I'm going to join one more square with you, and then I'm going to let you work on your own, and then I'm going to meet up with you before, because you see this side doesn't have any stitches. So after we get all of our blocks joined all the way, all 12 of them, then we're going to end up in that last block, we're going to end up right here. And then we're going to turn and go, we're going to end up right here is a better way to express it. Here, and then we're going to then double crochet 2 together in all the spaces all the way down. And I need to address what happens right here, but it's easy peasy, and it's such a beautiful open look. So let me go ahead and join one more with you, and then I'm going to let you work, and I'll hook up with you whenever we all have all of the blocks that we want to put. I'm going to have 12. Remember, in your corners, chain 3, turn your work, go on this next side, double crochet 2 together, chain 2, double crochet 2 together, chain 2, double crochet 2 together, chain 2, double crochet 2 together, chain 2. Okay, we're at our corner and we're putting in double crochet 2 together, but remember, how many do we chain for the corner? And it doesn't matter if it's a corner to go around to the next square that we're going to join, or if it's a corner that we're actually going around. It doesn't matter. You still chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. All right? Yarn over and then add your next block. Like I said, my blocks are just stacked up here, no rhyme or reason. I did not try to match colors or anything. If you want to be more organized and whatever and do that, go for it. It's yours. But I am making it very boho, and I'm not overthinking the placement of the blocks. Into the top, pull up a loop, slip stitch, chain 1, into the new square, double crochet 2 together, chain 1, into the top, pull up a loop, slip stitch, chain 1, This is our last chain space before the corner. And we're going to double crochet 2 together. Chain 1, and we're going to insert the hook from the front into that second chain space of the 3 and pull and slip stitch. Make sure and check your tension, make sure it's not too tight. And then I'm probably going to need to chain 2 again to get my hook around there. I've chained 1, see he's not quite there, so I need to chain again 1 more in order to get over to the corner where I need to be. And I'm doing a smaller sample, but this is exactly what you do around all 12, 10, how many ever blocks you're doing. It's the same process. It's the same pattern repeatedly. So when we get to this next corner, we're going to come around and we're going to treat this sample as if it were a really long scarf that, you know, it was all 12 blocks. We're going to pretend like it was all 12 blocks, and I'm going to show you how to finish this up. I apologize in advance if the background noise bothers you. I was unable to edit it out, and I'm not the only one that lives here. My creative space is right in the middle of everything. So again, my apologies if it's distracting and bothers you. Now, to finish this round of the scarf, we're going to come around the corner just like we did the corners on the other side. Still, after we chain 3, we're going to double crochet 2 together and chain 2 all the way down this side just like we did on the other side. Oops. Okay, we're coming up on the corner of our first square. We're going to go ahead and finish the square with our 2 double crochet together. Chain 1, And let's look at our hook where it is after we chain 1. Okay, we're going to be slip stitching into this chain 3 space from the pass before. So we want to get over there. I think I'm going to need another chain. And then the back bump there, or whichever you like. I don't like that when it pulls a little bit, so I like to just go ahead and slip stitch completely in that loop. But either one is acceptable. Another thing that you could do, if this seems, with whatever yarn you have, if this seems to be pulling in with a little divot with a slip stitch, you can also put a single crochet. And I may end up doing that. I'm going to have to see how it looks. So, okay. I'm thinking I need another chain here. Let me see what that looks like. Don't move on until you have made a good choice. Get your hook where it needs to be. See, it needed that extra chain there. And then maybe I can slip stitch in that ring rather than put the single crochet. Yep, I can. And then, yep, I need 2 chains again. So I had 2 chains, a slip stitch, and 2 chains again. You use your own judgment there, depending on your yarn, the size hook you're using. But let me put one more stitch, and then we can tell better how that looks, because I need an anchor on this side of that corner. All right. So by the time this, yeah, that's going to work. I think. It's a little bit of a bump there, but I think that's what we need. It's better to have your stitches a little relaxed, although there does seem to be a little bump. Let me go back. And I know this may seem tedious to you, but it's important to get the stitches right now rather than see it later or when it's finished and go, oh goodness, I wish I hadn't done that. So let's finish this double crochet 2 together, chain 1, slip stitch in the chain 3 space, chain 1 again, and our hook is not where it needs to be, so chain 2. See, that's the pattern that we used on the other side. On one side we chained 1 on one side of the join, we chained 1, and then on the other side we chained 2. So let me see what this looks like, because it looks like to me we're going to do the same pattern. Let me put in one more double crochet 2 together so it anchors that corner, and then we can make our decision. And you know, it was a long time before I would work off of a pattern, and whatever it said I would do, and I would end up with places that didn't turn out the way the picture was. Ah, that's better. Okay, so you see that is really nice, and I don't know if you can tell on my, anyway, you can tell that's very straight, and that's what we want. So I had 1 chain before I slip stitched into it here, into the corner change from the previous round, and 2 chains here, and that's exactly the same thing that we did on this side. There's a chain 1 here and a chain 2, so they're just the opposite. So yeah, I say that works for me. But like I said, it took me many years to give myself permission to modify a pattern whenever my stitches were not turning out the way they were supposed to. So I'm giving you permission today, and I don't care if you've crocheted for 60 years like me or more, or 6 days. I'm giving you permission. Make modifications whenever the stitches aren't showing the way you want them to show. Okay, here we are again. And if I remember, in the last corner, it was 2 double crochets together. Chain 1, slip stitch into the join corner, and then chain 2, and that puts our hook right where it needs to be. Scrunch him over a little bit. Oops, I made 2 double crochet. It's 2 double crochet. It's double crochet 2 together. That's why that stitch is written that way in patterns. It's not 2 double crochet together. It's double crochet 2 together. Chain 2, and now we're slip stitching to join, and we're slip stitching into the top of that very first standing double crochet. And sometimes you have to kind of pull that knot over in order for your yarn to lay where it's supposed to. Because our double crochet 2 together counts as 1 stitch. So I'm just going to go into this space. But if you feel like with your yarn that it's too tight there, or it pulls, or it makes a bump, then you may need to chain 1 and then go in. All right? I don't need the chain with my yarn, but you make your executive decision there. So here we will go ahead and slip stitch into this, and I'm going to go ahead and make a chain 2, and that will count as a double crochet. This isn't a spot for a standing double crochet, so we're just going to chain 2, and then 2 more double crochet in this spot, in this space, because we're going to go all the way down this side and the next side with double crochet, and then we're going to make 1 more round with half double crochet and another round of single crochet, and then put on our twisted fringe. In each one of these spaces we will place 3 double crochet. And maybe you're saying, I'm putting 3 double crochets in a chain 2 space. Yes, because your crochet math for this is you have to count this stitch. So this one coming up here counts for this one, and then the 2 chains. This one counts for him and 2 chains. So you have the same, actually the same amount of stitches as you do in the first row in this double crochet row, because the double crochet 2 together counts as 1 stitch. Okay, so double crochet 3 in 3 double crochets in each of the chain 2 spaces in the previous row, and do that all the way around. Even on the corners, you're going to 3 double crochet, chain, and 3 double crochet. But when we get to this join here, I'll show you what we're going to do. It's easy peasy. We're still going to get the same amount of stitches, but we got to make 1 little modification. All right, here we are at our join. And we're going to go ahead and put, on this side, we're going to put 2 double crochet, and then we're going to put 1 double crochet right there where that slip stitch was, and then 3 double crochet here. And why did I decide to do it that way? Because if you'll remember, we chained only 1 on this side of the slip stitch, and we chained 2 on this side. So, and we need to have a stitch here or there's a big gap. This gap isn't so noticeable, and whenever he gets, you know, worn and washed a little bit, he's not even going to show this one here. But this one, if we just jump over where these two, the space where the 2 rows of chains are, there is a gap here. So I address that this way. First, we put 2 double crochet in that chain space. 2 double crochet. And in the next, where we did the slip stitch, insert your hook in there, find a hole, and put a double crochet. And then in the next space of the 2 chains right here, we want 3 double crochet. Okay, let's look at our work. See, it's a very seamless transition. With that there, you don't have a big gap, and that's what we want. Now we're to our corner, 3 double crochet. Chain 2, and 3 double crochet. You might have to move him over just a little bit. We changed our number of chains because we have more stitches in here than what there are stitches. There's actually, technically, there's only 5 stitches with our corner, because these double crochet 2 together count as 1, and then 1 each, so that's 2, and then our chain 3, that's 5 total stitches. So we're only going to chain 2 because we're already putting 6 in here. Okay, so, and it'll our next row will do even different. Okay, 3 double crochet, and that is our corner. It's still nice and sharp. It has plenty of room. If you don't have, now with your yarn, if this seems to be too tight here, and maybe even roll up this row of double crochets, then you're going to need an extra chain in here, and that is just fine. It won't make any difference in the end product. But whatever you do in this corner, you might want to be sure to do in all the corners as you go around. Okay? Make modifications where necessary to get your scarf, your product, looking the way you want it to look. And for the most part, if you've got curling in your crochet fabric now, or if you've got ruffles because there's too many stitches, chances are if it's there now, it's going to be there in the finished product, and you're not going to be happy with it. And this is your pattern repeat for this round. Slip stitch to join at the end of the round. Our double crochet round of stitches to frame our kaleidoscope blocks, which have been joined continuously, is complete. The next round consists of half double crochets, and to do that I have one from the slip stitch and then half double, don't count that as a stitch, and then half double crochet back into that same first stitch. And this round we will half double crochet in the top of each double crochet from the previous row, and I will meet up with you at that first corner and we'll do that together. We've reached our corner. I've put in my last half double crochet before my corner. Now I'm going to half double crochet 2. And chain 1 and half double crochet 2. Here again, we're going to look at our work before we move on, and depending on your yarn and your crochet hook and how everything's going out, let me put in one more half double crochet. Usually whenever you're checking the corners like this, you need to put one or two more stitches in to anchor so you can look at it. Okay, mine is kind of curling up a little bit. I'm thinking I'm going to put another chain because I don't want it to curl up, because then with the next round it might be worse. So two half double crochet and 2 chain is what I'm doing. If you've found that the 1 chain is fine, it's not lifting up, let me play with it a little bit, a minute here, and massage the stitches and get them to go where they should go, and let me reevaluate. Well, now I'm thinking my first impression was right. And isn't that the way it is? That's the way this particular project has been the whole time. I started out going to make a scarf and hat, and then I second guessed myself to a pullover, and then I went back to the scarf and hat, and I've done the same thing here. So I'm seeing a pattern. Here we are at the end of our half double crochet row, and I've slip stitched to join, and I'm going to back out of that stitch and double check where I put that. Make sure it's in the top of that first half double crochet and not my chain up, and that's exactly what I had done. All right, and now for my pattern, I'm going to now have a row of single crochet. Regardless of whether you've decided to add all of these rounds or any rounds, you need to have single crochets for your last round on the ends for your twisted braid fringe. Now that we've slip stitched to join, chain 1, and we are going to let it count as a stitch, and we're going to go into the next stitch and for our first double crochet. Be sure and check your gauge. Make sure that it's not too loose, not too tight, but it's just right. Your crochet hook should easily glide through your work. If it's tight and even making a bit of a squeaking sound, sometimes acrylic yarn does that, then it's too tight. And single crochet in the top of every stitch from the previous row on this round. And I will join you again when we get to the corner. And here we are, and with our single crochet, it's 2 single crochet and a chain 1 and 2 single crochet. And that is our stitch pattern for this round. Slip stitch into the first single crochet to complete the round. Once you've completed this round and slip stitched into the first stitch of this round, chain 1, pull up a loop, and clip your yarn. You'll want to weave in this yarn tail, but I'd prefer to use the invisible join, and I will be finishing off my scarf with the invisible join. I won't bore you with that again because I've demonstrated it several times. And your scarf is complete. And now it is time to add our twisted fringe. What we must do first is determine how long we would like our fringe to be. I have worked with my samples and have discovered that a short fringe of 2 to 2.5 inches is hard to manage, not to put on the scarf, but after worn, seems less manageable and out of control. So I like my fringe to be slightly longer. I've determined that 3.5 to 4 inch fringe on this scarf is a good length. You determine how long of a loop to start your twisted fringe with by how long you would like the resulting fringe to be in the end. I'm shooting for a 4 inch fringe, so I will pull up a loop that's 2.5 times longer than 4 inches. So I'm going to pull up a loop that is approximately 10 inches. I look for a measuring template in order to measure my loops that I pull up from my scarf. I like to find a book or a piece of cardboard or something that is approximately the same length as the loop I'm trying to pull up. This book is a little too short for what I'm looking for for this scarf. I'm going to find a taller book. I think I found the one that's going to work. It's a little bit more than 10 and a half, 10 and 3/4, but I'm going to shoot for that. It's close enough for me. I set up my workspace with my measuring template in front of me, and then my working piece, in this case the scarf, will be at the bottom of my measuring piece. And as with most things in crochet, we will begin with a slip knot on the hook. Go ahead and attach your yarn, and I like to go into that chain space from the corner of the single crochet, and I actually go into the top 2 loops, just like that. Top 2 loops of that chain space. That's where I like to go in. Okay? All right. And you're going to slip stitch, because what you're doing, you're just attaching your yarn right there. That doesn't count for anything. In fact, I want you to chain 1. And then lay your hook right on the edge of your book and your work right on the edge of the book and pull up a loop. And I usually place my fingernail then right there because I don't want that to move around. I place my fingernail right like that. And then with my hook, I start going around. And you want to go around somewhere between 15 and 25 for this length. The longer your loop is, the more twists you need to have in your loop. I'm aware it's somewhat awkward to demonstrate this. I really don't have a big enough space for you to see everything I'm doing. For 10, and a little bit, I'm going to go 22. I've already, I have to tell you I'm cheating. I've already done this length before, and I know 22 looks good. I could do 25, but 22 is good. And so holding the 2 strands of yarn, and the loop is on the end of my hook, and twist the number of twists that you've predetermined. You may twist either clockwise or counterclockwise, but keep all of your twists on every fringe the same. You can get both of your arms going on this, you know, like riding a bicycle. All right, now then, you're going to go back into that same stitch where you pulled up in the scarf itself, that first stitch where you attached your yarn, and you're going to pull up a loop, and then you're going to slide your twist over that loop and then chain 1. And that locks your twisted braid. And then you insert the hook into your next stitch. And on this one, I think I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch. And then insert my hook in the next stitch and slip stitch out. And then chain 1. And I'm going to put my other twisted braid there. The reason I am doing it this way rather than the way I did on the other scarves is because you go back into your first stitch 2 times. My scarves began to flare out, and I really, you know, it's okay, but you know, I would prefer it to not do that. Now, the way we straighten out this twist is to kind of take the loop out and kind of move around the twists a little bit. You can adjust them, and then that's the way it looks. You can finesse it a little bit to make them. The thing about this loop, and now I'm going to go ahead and put in another twisted braid here, and I may rethink that and go ahead and put one, you know, back up, frog it out, and come back into that other stitch. But I want to see what going every other stitch looks like, because I wasn't real happy with going in every stitch. So again, we have slip stitched into our stitch and then chained 1 more. And the reason that we do that 1 more chain is it kind of locks in that loop, in that slip stitch from where we started. So it kind of locks it in a little bit. All right, so I put it at the edge of my book. Am I on camera there? Yeah, put it at the edge of my book, and then pull the loop up the full length of the book. See, the full length of the book. And then I put my fingernail right at the top of that, the bottom of the loop, I guess you'd call it, where we started. And then I start my twist. This 2. And 22. Now, I'm coming back in and going to insert my hook into that same stitch where I started. And I'm going to pull up a loop, have a loop on my hook, and then I'm going to slide that twisted braid right over that loop, adjust the tension a little bit, and I'm going to chain 1. And that locks that twist in there. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch, and then slip stitch into the next stitch and chain 1. And now we're ready for our next braid. Let's finesse the one we just put in and see what's happening. All right, And this is the way I straighten my twist to make sure. Sometimes you get, like right here, you have yarn that isn't twisted where it started. And all you do is open up your ring and take your finger and kind of massage these twists and move some down there. And then it takes care of that to some degree. I could play with it more and get it. And I could play with this one some more too. But I think that's going to work. They're going to be farther apart. And the fact that this one is slightly longer doesn't really bother me. You know, it's fringe. But if that bothers you, then take it out and then remeasure your twist to begin with. Be doubly sure that the number of twists is the same. And that way you won't have those variations. But that doesn't bother me. But if it bothers you, then now is the time to redo it. All right. One more time. Right here, I got my work close to the edge of the book. Pull my hook all the way to the end of the book, just laying down. And the book is only for measurement. If you've got another system, then use that one. Okay, that's 1, 2. All right, and I've got my twists in there. Now, back into that same stitch where we started. Insert your hook and pull up a loop, and then slide your twisted braid right over that loop and chain 1. And that chain is very important. Okay? That's what locks that braid in place. And he won't come out. And slip stitch into the next stitch is my pattern. If you're choosing to do every stitch, then you'll just start doing another twisted braid from here. I've chosen to do every other stitch because I'm trying to avoid the flaring that I had in the other scarves. Okay? So in this stitch, again, another twisted braid. I didn't finesse that last twist because I find that it's just time consuming. It's more efficient if I wait till the end and do them all at the same time. All right, I have my length of yarn, and I'm going to put my fingernail and finger. It can just be your finger. It doesn't have to be the fingernail. And then twist the number, same number. Okay. Got my 22 twists. Back into the same stitch. Pull up a loop. And then pull my braid down over that loop. Chain 1. Slip stitch into the next stitch. And then slip stitch into the next stitch. Chain 1 and make another twist. And that's the way I make the twisted braid fringe. You would repeat this process for as many fringes as you need. Once I have all my fringes, then I manipulate them in order to get the twist all the way down to the base of the fringe so that the twist lays right and it hangs the way I want it to hang. And once all of your fringes on, this is the way it looks. Having found value in this tutorial, I hope that you will subscribe, like, and share this video with friends. This is the way my finished scarf looks, and I'm very proud of it. I hope to see you again, but until I do, keep calm and crochet on.